Here's the question I get asked most often. Crystal, I know how to garden. I've been doing it for years, but how do I actually teach someone without overwhelming them or forgetting half of what I know? And here's my answer. You already have the knowledge. What I'm giving you today isn't new, and it's a simple framework. It's a way to organize everything that you already know so that you can share it clearly and confidently with your clients. Today, we're talking about the 7 foundation stones of growing. This framework makes it really easy to deliver what you already know in a way that's consumable, memorable, and really transformational for the people you serve. Let's get into it. All right, so the 7 foundation stones are earth, understanding where you're growing, structure, building the physical setup, and then season, that's planting at the right time, rhythm, creating daily habits, balance, maintaining soil health and ecosystem, harmony, that's when you're growing the plants that work well together, nourish, actually eating what you grow. Now, I bet when you heard those, you thought, yeah, I already do all of that. And you do, that's the point. You already assess your garden sun and soil before you plant, that's the earth part. And you already build and arrange your beds and containers, that's the structure. You already know not to plant tomatoes in January, that's season. You already have a morning routine. Maybe you go out with your coffee and you check your plants. I love that part of the day. That's rhythm. You're already composting and watching your soil health. That's balance. You probably already know that basil goes great with tomatoes. That's the harmony part. And hopefully you're eating what you grow. That's nourish. When you use these 7 stones with a client, they can follow your expertise step by step instead of feeling overwhelmed by everything all at once. These stones take someone from, I have a bare patch of yard, all the way to I'm eating fresh food from my garden and preserving the harvest for winter. Now, not every client will be starting from scratch. Some will already have gardens. The beauty of the 7 stones is they actually work as a diagnostic tool. So when a client says, my tomatoes aren't producing or I keep losing my plants, you walk through the stones systematically. Is earth the issue? Not enough sun in that spot? Is it the season? Did they plant at the wrong time? Harmony? Is there a pest problem? This framework helps you quickly identify what's off and how to fix it. Now, let's break down each stone. The first stone is earth, and you already consider this every time you think about planting something. You look at a spot and instinctively know, that's too shady, or the soil drains really well there, or I can reach that really easily with the hose. With the foundation stones, what you're doing is giving your intuition a structure so that you can walk a beginner through the same assessment. When you're with a client, you'll help them evaluate 4 things. Sun, how many hours of direct sunlight does the space get? You already know that plants need 4 to 6 hours minimum for most edibles. Now you'll show your client how to track it throughout the day. Soil, what's the quality? You can probably tell just by looking and touching whether it's clay, sandy, or loamy. Share that wisdom. Show them how to do a simple drainage test or a squeeze test. Water. You already know water access is everything. Help your clients see where the hose reaches, where maybe rain barrels could go, or where they might need a drip system. Space. You've learned through experience how much space plants actually need. Now your clients will have to measure realistically and start small. The foundation stone is simply naming what you already do, assessing the earth before you plant. When you walk a client through it, you're teaching them to see what you see. The second stone is structure. You know what works and what doesn't. Maybe you've learned the hard way that containers dry out faster than beds. Maybe you've discovered that trellising your tomatoes made harvesting so much easier. Maybe you finally built that border and realized it protects everything from the lawnmower. Now you're going to save your clients from those hard lessons by sharing what you've learned. You help them set up raised beds and containers. Also teach them about trellising and supports. The structure stone is you sharing the setup lessons that you've already learned so clients don't have to figure it out from scratch. The third stone is season, and this is where timing becomes everything. Plants are incredibly smart. Which temperature range they thrive in and how much sunlight they need to grow to maturity, it's wired into their DNA. Your job as a garden guru is to work with that wisdom, not against it. Here's what most gardeners get wrong. They think there's one gardening season, spring to fall, and that's it. But the truth, there are multiple growing seasons throughout the year. And if you understand them, then you can help your clients grow food almost year round. We teach something called the arc of the seasons. Instead of focusing on the frost dates, which can be really limiting and confusing, we look at the average monthly temperatures and we classify each month as cold, cool, warm, or hot. So for the cold season, average highs are around 30 degrees Fahrenheit, guaranteed frost. Cool seasons are from 35 to 65 degrees, and that's likely to be frost. Warm season highs are between 65 and 85 degrees, and then hot season above 85 degrees, no chance of frost at all. So once you map out your client's arc of seasons, you can show them what to plant and when. And here's the key. Plan a season ahead. So if your clients want tomatoes in June, you're starting seeding or buying transplants in March. If they want fresh greens in October, then you're planting in August. This is where you become invaluable to your clients. You're not just telling them what to plant, you're telling them when. So they never get stuck in that "I missed the window" panic. Season is about strategy, and you're the strategist. The fourth stone is rhythm. The daily habits that turn someone from a person with a garden into an actual gardener. Once the garden is set up and planted at the right time, success comes down to consistency. Can your client build a rhythm of showing up? A neighbor once told me something I'll never forget. The best pest control is your own shadow, and it's true. When you're in the garden regularly, observing, tending, and being present, you catch problems before they become disasters. You notice the aphids on day 1 instead of day 10, and you see the leaves yellowing before the whole plant fails. You'll teach your client 3 key rhythms: observation, watering, and harvesting. Observation. Spend 5 to 10 minutes in the garden every day. Just look. Notice what's growing, what's struggling, maybe what's ready to harvest. The daily check-in prevents small problems before becoming big ones. Your presence, your shadow, is the garden's best defense. Watering. Most gardens need about an inch of water per week, either from rain or irrigation. Teach your clients how to check the soil moisture and water deeply rather than frequently. Harvesting. This is the most important rhythm of all. The more you harvest, the more the garden produces. Teach your client to pick those herbs regularly. Harvest greens while they're young and tender, and keep fruiting plants producing by picking often. The goal is to make the garden part of their daily life. Not a weekend project, not a chore, but a habit that is as natural as making coffee in the morning. When your client builds rhythm, they actually fall in love with gardening, and that's when real transformation happens. The fifth stone is balance, and this is about maintaining the health of your soil and the entire garden ecosystem. You probably understand that healthy soil equals better plants, but balance goes deeper than just adding fertilizer. It's about creating a living ecosystem underground that does work for you. Healthy soil teems with beneficial bacteria, fungi, earthworms, and microorganisms. These organisms break down organic matter, make nutrients available to plants, and help protect plants from disease. Here's what you'll help your clients understand about balance. Composting. Turning kitchen scraps and garden waste into nutrient-rich compost. Whether you use a simple pile or a 3-bin system or a tumbler, you can share what works for you. The key is layering greens, nitrogen-rich materials like vegetable scraps, with browns, carbon-rich materials like dry leaves. Microbes break it all down into finished compost that feeds the soil. Also, go over soil amendments, adding what the soil needs. You might use organic fertilizers, worm casting, or compost to improve soil structure. Maybe you've learned to read your plants. Yellowing leaves often are signals of nitrogen needs, or stunted growth can indicate phosphorus deficiencies. Poor fruit production might mean low potassium. You can teach your clients to recognize these signs too. Don't forget to teach about crop rotation, moving plant families to different locations each season. You might know from experience that planting tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants, all nightshades, in the same bed year after year will deplete certain nutrients and increases pest pressure. Also, mulching. A 2 or 3 inch layer of mulch retains moisture, suppresses weeds, and it slowly feeds the soil as it breaks down. If you discover how much easier mulch makes maintenance, you can pass that wisdom on. When the soil is in balance, plants are naturally healthier, more productive, and more resistant to pests and disease. This is the stone that makes gardening easier with each passing season. The sixth stone is harmony, and this is where we bring it all together. This is where gardening becomes more than just growing food. It becomes growing medicine, growing relationships, growing an ecosystem. Harmony is about understanding that plants don't grow in isolation. They grow in community. And when you plant them thoughtfully, when you understand which plants support each other, magic happens. Here's what you can help your clients understand about harmony. Growing certain plants together because they benefit each other. Key examples: basil near tomatoes. They improve the flavor and they help repel pests and aphids and hornworms. Marigolds around the garden. Their scent deters many harmful insects. When you plant beans with corn and squash, the Three Sisters method, beans fix nitrogen in the soil, which feeds the corn and squash. Corn provides a trellis for the beans, and squash shades the ground. It's amazing. Herbs like dill and yarrow attract beneficial insects that eat pests. The principles are simple. Some plants repel pests, some attract beneficial insects, some improve soil, and some provide physical support. When you design with these relationships in mind, you're creating a garden that takes care of itself. Harmony principle 2, natural pest management. Instead of reaching for chemicals when pests show up, you'll guide your clients to work with nature. Here's the approach. Stay on the offense. Use physical barriers like row covers or mesh over young plants to prevent pests from getting to them. Invite beneficial insects. Plant flowers and herbs that attract ladybugs, lacewings, and parasitic wasps that eat harmful pests. Sometimes the solution is simply removing pests by hand, like tomato hornworms or squash bugs. Harmony principle 3. Food as medicine. Every plant that your client grows has a potential to nourish and heal their bodies. You can share these basics. Garlic supports immune health. Leafy greens like kale and spinach are packed with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. And then herbs like rosemary and thyme and oregano, they have anti-inflammatory properties. When you grow food organically in healthy soil, you are growing nutrient-rich medicine. Every harvest is an opportunity to prevent disease and support wellness. And that's what makes this work so much bigger than gardening. Harmony is the stone that reminds us why we're doing this. We're not just growing gardens, we are growing a movement. The 7th stone is Nourish, and I'm gonna be honest with you, this is the one that I struggle with most. Actually eating what I grow, making it a part of my daily meals when I'm traveling consistently and barely have time to cook, that's hard. Growing food is only half of the equation. If your clients grow gorgeous kale but have no idea how to cook it, or they harvest a ton of tomatoes and watch them rot on the counter because life got too busy, they're going to get discouraged. Stone 7 is about closing that gap between growing and eating. And it's also where you can create some really valuable services as a garden guru. Here's how to help your clients nourish. 1. Design gardens around what they actually eat. Instead of asking, what do you want to grow? Ask, what do you love to cook? If they say tacos, then you can grow a taco garden, tomatoes and peppers, onions, cilantro, and jalapenos. If they say pasta, boom, you got tomatoes, basil, garlic, oregano. If they say salads, maybe a lettuce mix with some cucumbers, some radishes, some cherry tomatoes. When you design around meals they already make, everything in the garden has purpose. Not every client will connect with this approach, but for the ones that do, it's a game changer. 2, teach simple ways to use what they grow. You don't have to be a chef, but you can share the basics. How to store herbs so they last. Quick ways to use greens. How to freeze excess peppers. The easier you make it for them to use their harvest, the more likely that they'll keep gardening. 3, help with preservation when harvests are abundant. This is where you can offer a premium service. When tomatoes are coming by the bucket or herbs are at their peak, your clients might not have time to process everything themselves. You can offer a canning session. Come to their homes, harvest together, and maybe can some salsa or tomato sauce. Freezing and drying services, even just harvesting and prepping vegetables for the freezer so that they can use their garden all through winter. For busy clients, especially those who travel like I do, knowing someone can harvest while they're gone or help preserve what's ready is huge. Nourish is the stone that completes the cycle. It takes gardening from a hobby to true food freedom. And this stone opens up additional income streams. Consultations get clients started, but preservation services, harvest help, and meal planning supports them and keeps them engaged. So there you have it. The 7 foundation stones of growing. The stones work everywhere. They adapt to any client, any climate, any space, because they're based on principles you've already proven in your own garden. You're the expert, you've done the work, Now you have the language to teach. Before we wrap up, I want to say something really important. You don't have to know everything. You're not expected to be an encyclopedia. If a client asks you something you don't know, that's okay. You say, that's a great question. I haven't worked with that specific situation yet, but I'm going to find out for you. Your clients aren't hiring you because you're perfect. They're hiring you because you're the person that will help them find the answer. You're their trusted resource, and we're here to support you too. You're never figuring this out alone. Let's keep building this movement together.